Most seniors aren't struggling with how to declutter. They're struggling with what to declutter. And here's the surprising truth. Many are tossing the wrong things entirely. Things they'll later wish they hadn't. Things that made their lives easier, more meaningful, or more grounded. The problem isn't too much clutter. It's too many bad decisions made under pressure to own less. Think about it. Have you ever let go of something, only to reach for it weeks later and realize it's gone? Or spent hours organizing a drawer full of gadgets, only to feel just as overwhelmed when you open it the next day? It's not that you didn't try. It's that you were decluttering for a version of life that doesn't reflect your reality right now. That's why in today's video, we're not giving you more generic decluttering tips. We're going to flip the script, because for many older adults, the key isn't in doing more, it's in doing it differently. It's about protecting the right things and letting go of what quietly drains your energy, even if it doesn't look like clutter. If you've ever felt stuck between what to keep and what to toss, or just want your home to reflect who you are now, not who you used to be, hit that like button and tap subscribe. You're exactly where you need to be. Elladine is 72. She lives alone in a cozy home just outside La Crosse, Wisconsin, where the seasons still mark her year. Apple butter in the fall, peppermint tea in winter, and porch swings in summer. She's a retired piano teacher, the kind who used to slide red stickers on a student's fingers to help them remember where C and G lived. Arthritis has slowly crept into her knuckles, making it harder to play, but she still runs her fingers across the keys when no one's around, almost as if the music is tucked into her bones. A month ago, Elladine decided to declutter. She'd read an article about the Swedish death cleanse and thought it was time to get serious. So she bought 3 big tubs from the hardware store and started sorting. One for donations, one for trash, one for maybe later. She filled bags with old linens. Let go of her husband's winter coats he passed 5 years ago. Even boxed up 3 sets of dishes. Her living room looked cleaner. Her closets were easier to open. But something didn't sit right. She stood at her garage one Sunday afternoon, looking at what she had kept. A pile of user manuals, expired warranties from products she no longer owned, a dozen pens that hadn't worked in years, and 5 nearly identical plastic food containers, none with matching lids. In the hallway linen cabinet, she still had 6 towels, though she only used 2. She had cleared so much, and yet she didn't feel free. That's when it hit her. She had decluttered the visible, not the meaningful. She had gotten rid of the soft blankets her grandkids used when they slept over, but kept a drawer full of spare buttons she hadn't touched in a decade. She had tossed away the ceramic dog her husband won at the county fair, but held onto an unread stack of old bank statements. Elladine's story might sound familiar because it is. So many seniors approach decluttering by focusing on what looks outdated or what someone else might call junk. But in doing so, they often protect the very things that quietly exhaust them, while parting with items that gave them comfort, warmth, or joy. The real problem isn't clutter. It's confusion. Confusion about what actually deserves space, not just in the house, but in the heart. And that's where we begin. Not with more bins or labels, but with one honest question. Are you decluttering things? Or are you finally ready to clear out the obstacles that no longer fit the life you're living today? Let's talk about the biggest decluttering mistakes seniors make. Not because they're careless, but because they're trying to do things right. The problem? The rules they're following don't actually serve their lives. Too often, older adults are told to let go of more, own less, and keep only the essentials. But who defines essential? A younger minimalist influencer? A checklist from a blog post? Decluttering isn't about following trends. It's about protecting what genuinely supports your emotional and physical well-being. And unfortunately, these are the 3 types of items seniors often regret letting go of first. 1. Sentimental items that connect you to joy. Elladine thought she was doing the smart thing when she gave away her late husband's old fishing hat. It had been sitting on the back of the coat rack for years. A little dusty, a little faded, but after it was gone, something in her spirit changed. She didn't just give away a hat. She gave away a memory that still comforted her. That's a common mistake, decluttering memory-rich items too quickly in the name of minimalism. But here's the truth. Not every sentimental item is clutter. Some are anchors. Some are gentle reminders of who you loved, where you've been, and how far you've come. You don't need to keep everything, but you do need a system. Try this. Create a legacy corner. Just one small shelf, a shadow box, or a corner table with a few carefully chosen pieces. A wedding photo, a handwritten recipe, a folded flag, or a travel trinket. This isn't clutter, it's curated memory. It's a tribute to what built you. 2. Useful but imperfect tools. Decluttering based on appearance is a slippery slope. Elladine almost threw away her jar opener because it looked old and discolored. But it's the very thing that helps her open a jar of pickles without hurting her wrists. And that makes it essential. We've become conditioned to believe that usefulness expires when beauty fades. But seniors know better. That walking stick with the duct tape on the handle, the garden shears with a squeaky hinge, if it still supports your day-to-day, it deserves a place in your home. Before you toss it, ask yourself, is it broken or just not pretty? 3. Spare items with real function. Here's a subtle danger. The pressure to own less has led many seniors to get rid of backup essentials. Things like extra blankets, light bulbs, batteries, flashlights, reading glasses, or even spare walking shoes. But seniors are often the ones who need backups most. Power outages hit harder when mobility is limited. Illnesses come on fast. A missing blanket at 2 a.m. can mean a sleepless night. Decluttering shouldn't create fragility. It should support resilience. Instead of purging all extras, identify which ones make you feel prepared. Store them neatly, label them clearly, and place them where they're easy to find when you need them most. Have you ever given something away and deeply regretted it later? Maybe it was sentimental. Maybe it turned out to be more useful than you thought. Share your story in the comments, because your experience could save someone else from making the same mistake. If you've been decluttering for weeks and still feel like your home isn't lighter, calmer, or more manageable, it might be because you've been aiming at the wrong targets. Decluttering shouldn't just be about clearing space. It should clear burdens. And some of the biggest burdens in a senior's home aren't boxes or bins. They're things you don't even notice anymore, but they're slowly draining your energy, safety, or peace of mind. Let's walk through what you should be focusing on instead. 1. Energy drains in your living space. Start with what physically wears you out. That old recliner that takes effort just to get out of. The heavy coffee table you have to scoot every time you vacuum. The rug that slips underfoot every time your neighbor comes over. These aren't just design flaws. For many older adults, they're hazards. And what about those top-shelf storage bins you haven't touched in years? If you need a ladder or a reacher just to grab something, that's not just inconvenient. It's a red flag. Decluttering isn't always about volume. It's about accessibility. Walk through your home and ask, what here makes life harder than it needs to be? Start there. 2. Emotional clutter. This kind of clutter doesn't live on shelves. It lives in your heart. It's the unfinished quilt you started for a grandchild who's now in college. It's the drawer of letters that once meant love, but now carry unresolved tension. It's the decorative plate from your cousin who visits once every 3 years, still displayed because you feel guilty packing it away. You deserve to live surrounded by things that lift you, not drain you. Peace of mind doesn't come from living with nothing. It comes from living with the right things. Here's a tip. Walk room to room and ask, does this item bring me joy, usefulness, or peace? If the answer is no, it may be time to let it go, no matter who gave it to you or how long it's been there. 3. Decision fatigue zones. Ever opened a drawer and felt instantly tired? That's not your imagination, it's decision fatigue. It's what happens when your brain is faced with too many unimportant choices. Kitchen drawers filled with old takeout menus, utensils you never use, and 5 types of can openers. Bathroom shelves with half-used lotions you forgot you had. Pantry items you bought during COVID that you've never once touched. It's not just messy, it's mentally exhausting. Start by clearing one zone at a time. Choose your worst drawer, cabinet, or shelf. Remove everything. Then only put back what you actually use. One type of spatula, one bottle of shampoo, one type of canned beans you'll actually eat. Because for seniors, the goal isn't just organization, it's ease. And the more daily decisions you can eliminate, the more energy you'll have for the moments that truly matter. Remember this, peace of mind isn't about owning less. It's about surrounding yourself with what supports the life you live now. But the next part, it's the one most seniors overlook, and yet it's the exact step that transforms your space from simply decluttered to deeply peaceful. Let's go there next. Elladine had been decluttering for weeks, sorting, donating, tossing, but the emotional weight, it hadn't budged until one quiet morning, while folding towels in her hallway closet, she asked herself something different. Not, will I need this someday, but is this helping me live well this week? That shift changed everything. She looked at the third set of measuring cups and realized she always used the same set. The others were there just in case. She touched a stack of greeting cards she hadn't mailed in 5 years. Not because she didn't care, but because writing them had become physically painful. She held a box of old tablecloths meant for special gatherings she no longer hosted. And that's when the real clarity came. So much of what we hold on to isn't based on need or usefulness. It's based on memory or potential. I might use this. It used to be important. My children may want it. But those ideas belong to a version of life that isn't current anymore. Here's the golden rule that helped Elladine, and could help you too. If it doesn't serve you today, it's clutter. It sounds simple, but it forces you to look at your belongings through the lens of your present life. Not your past, not your imagined future. That extra blender, you don't entertain like you used to. The third winter coat, you haven't worn it in 5 seasons. That craft bin, if your fingers can't thread a needle anymore, maybe it's time to gift those supplies to someone who can. This isn't about letting go of who you were. It's about honoring who you are right now. Ask yourself, does this item support my daily routine? Does it bring me peace, safety, or comfort this week? If I didn't have it today, would I notice? If the answer is no, it's probably clutter masquerading as someday usefulness. And here's the beauty of this mindset. You start keeping fewer things, but the ones you keep, they matter more. Your space becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. And most importantly, your home begins to reflect your current season, not the expectations of a past chapter. Let this question guide your next round of decluttering. Does this serve my today life? Or am I keeping it for a version of me that doesn't live here anymore? Once you start living by that rule, you don't just declutter. You reclaim your space. You respect your energy. You honor the life you're actually living. Decluttering doesn't always need to be dramatic. You don't have to spend an entire weekend surrounded by piles of things. You don't need to empty every drawer in one sitting. In fact, for most seniors, the real transformation happens through gentle, consistent resets, tiny habits that quietly reshape your home and your heart over time. That's what Elladine discovered when she finally stopped chasing big decluttering wins and instead leaned into slow, intentional rituals. These 3 routines became her rhythm, not for purging, but for clearing space with kindness. 1. The daily 5-minute reset. This one isn't about speed, it's about presence. Each day, Elladine picked one small space, a drawer, a countertop, a bathroom shelf. She would stand in front of it, take a breath, and ask, what on this surface is quietly competing with my peace? Maybe it was the old flyer tacked to the fridge, a chipped mug she never reached for, a pen that didn't write anymore. She didn't force herself to declutter the entire space, just 2 or 3 items that no longer served her today. Over time, those micro moments added up. Her kitchen felt easier to cook in. Her nightstand became a place of calm instead of chaos. The secret wasn't in doing more, it was in doing just enough daily. This practice works especially well for seniors who tire easily or feel overwhelmed by big projects. You don't have to conquer the house, just clear the corner in front of you. 2. The monthly sentimental review. Some things are too emotionally heavy to declutter on the fly. That's why once a month, Elladine scheduled time, just 30 quiet minutes, with her memory box. She would pull out 5 items. That was the rule. Just 5. A letter from her son at college. Her mother's necklace. A photo of her wedding day. Sometimes she laughed. Sometimes she wept. And sometimes she realized an item had served its time. Her ritual was gentle. Keep one. Photograph the others. Let them go. It wasn't about detaching from her past. It was about releasing the weight of it, one memory at a time. The photo still lived in her heart. The memory didn't vanish. But her space became a little freer, her mind a little clearer. You don't need to rush sentimental decisions, but you do need to face them, slowly, kindly, with grace. 3. The weekly support check. Here's a part of decluttering that's often overlooked: adding the right things. Once a week, Elladine did a simple scan of her home. She asked, "Is anything missing that would make life easier? Was the entryway too dark at night?" She added a motion sensor light. Was the tub slippery? She ordered a grip mat. Was her favorite chair too low? She got a cushion riser. Decluttering isn't just subtracting, it's curating. It's intentionally shaping a home that supports your energy, your comfort, and your needs right now. For older adults, this is essential. The right tools, like reachers, grab bars, or medication organizers, aren't clutter. They're freedom. And ignoring them in the name of minimalism can make life harder than it needs to be. So if you're overwhelmed by the idea of clearing out your home, start here. 1 drawer a day, 5 memories a month, 1 support check a week. Let these small rituals carry you, not to an empty home, but to a lighter life. One where you feel supported, seen, and surrounded by what matters. Elladine's home didn't land in a magazine spread. It wasn't supposed to. There are no fancy bins with chalkboard labels, no color-coded bookshelves, no trendy minimalist furniture. Instead, what emerged was something far more valuable: a home that fit her life. In this season, with her pace, her values, and her story. At 72, she didn't need sleek perfection. She needed relief. Relief from bumping into furniture she no longer used. Relief from opening drawers filled with things that no longer served her. Relief from feeling like a stranger in a house filled with the echoes of someday or used to. She began with small changes, the kind no one else might notice, but ones that made her daily life flow smoother. She cleared the front entry bench, once buried under reusable shopping bags and unopened mail. Now it stood empty, welcoming, a place to sit, to breathe, to pause. Her late husband's photo, once tucked away in a drawer she avoided, now sat by the window, not as a monument to loss, but as a quiet moment of love. Morning light often landed on the frame just right. She'd glance at it while sipping her tea, not with sorrow, but with softness. He was part of the house again, in most peaceful way. And then there was her kitchen shelf, once cluttered with appliances she hadn't used since her hands began to ache. It now held a curated collection of old recipe cards. Some were fading, others smudged with sauce stains from decades past. But every Sunday, she picked one, cooked a small meal, and remembered who she was: not just a senior, not just someone decluttering, but someone with a history worth savoring. Elladine's transformation wasn't about doing less or having less. It was about being more intentional. She learned that a truly supportive home doesn't have to be fancy. It has to reflect who you are today, your routines, your memories, your needs. She once said with a knowing smile, "This space finally feels like it's for the me I am now." And that's the goal. Not a perfect home, but an honest one. One that supports your steps, honors your story, and gives you the freedom to live your days with more clarity and ease. So maybe the real win isn't in what you declutter. Maybe it's in what you make room for. You don't need more pressure. You don't need more rules. And you definitely don't need more stuff telling you to get rid of everything. What you do need, what most seniors quietly crave, is a new way of thinking about their space. Not through the lens of guilt or trends, but through a question that's far more powerful. What actually supports my life today? That question changes everything. It shifts your focus away from what others expect you to toss and toward what you genuinely need to feel safe, calm, and at peace in your home. This isn't about chasing an empty house. It's about crafting a home that makes room for your comfort, your joy, and your current season of life. So before you head off to clean another drawer or organize another box, pause and ask yourself, does this serve me today? Or am I keeping it out of habit, guilt, or fear? And here's where we invite you to reflect with us. What's one thing you're finally ready to let go of, or maybe reclaim? Something that's been lingering in your closet, your heart, or your memory box. Share it in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to take their next brave step. And if today's video sparked something in you, if it helped you see your space differently or reminded you that you deserve peace and ease in your own home, then please tap that like button, subscribe so you don't miss the next insight that speaks to your life, and share this with someone you care about who might be quietly struggling with the same weight. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're simply choosing a smarter way forward. And this journey, it's just getting started.